Hello, hello. Brian coming in first again. Bjorn is really off his game. Sad to see such a glorious, triumphant figure, just keep missing the podium. I don't know. He's still got 2 shots left this week. Let's see what happens. And, well, Bjorn coming in third. Well, you medaled again. I mean, you medaled. Again, it's bronze. So, who cares? But you did medal. So, and Anti-Utopia coming in with a silver. Not bad. Not bad. Better than bronze, right, Bjorn? Slightly. Not as good as gold, though. I think it's Brian's second gold medal. So I'm going to have to tell our T-shirt designer he needs to make some AMA medaling or podium shirts. I think that should be one of the next designs. I think he got bronze. Yeah, because Brian has 3 posts, so Bjorn came in with the bronze. Okay, guys, let me pull up my AMA cheat sheet. I don't want to call it a cheat sheet anymore because it sounds like there's actually answers on there. There's no answers, guys. No answer to life's questions. Just a bunch of questions that I get to answer. But I call it my cheat sheet because it's just all on one piece of paper. Maybe I should call it, I don't know what else to call it, to be honest. Cliff notes, maybe. But yeah, I think I'm going to do the T-shirt. T-shirt's coming up in the next round. I just ordered some samples of 15 new designs, and this will be one of the others. I think we'll get the store live, guys, roughly by around mid-May. Won't initially have, unfortunately, XCM and crypto. It's going to be probably credit cards, debit cards, things like that for payments. But it's just the first iteration, just to get things kind of online. I don't expect, who knows, might be more revenue than CoinMetro makes right off the bat. But I don't expect it to be huge. But I just want to get it out there. Plus, I want to be able to have some shirts in stock so that we can do giveaways and things like that. Stickers, shirts, flip-flops, even face masks, guys, all kinds of stuff. And then, yeah, eventually get up a widget up there so that we can get XCM rolling in and make, though all profits that are made off of this endeavor, which, by the way, I funded myself. Personally, all profits will be funneled back into XCM regardless. So I will simply make an XCM purchase into the book by market order. Probably at first it might be bi-weekly or monthly, it depends on the sales. But eventually, I would hope to have it either at a minimum weekly, but maybe daily. I think we have maybe 20 designs over. No, maybe more now, actually. Maybe 25, I think, 25 designs. Yeah, you can pick almost any color you want. Some shirts don't come in white simply because some of the design just simply gets kind of lost in the mix. But generally speaking, you can pick almost any color you want. We do have to limit combinations. So I think overall there might be, between colors and sizes and but there's an ample selection. Hey, Mohammed, how are you? Yeah, green candle's looking good. Green candle's always nice looking when you're holding, right? I mean, when you're a hodler, man, green becomes your favorite color. Unless you're in that blue color schematic on the chart, then blue might be your second or primary favorite color. I don't know. Still hoping for something minimal and stylish, black on black on black. Yeah, we could work that out. That one might be expensive though, considering the VIP status of black. Somehow now, the black card, this is somehow super now VIP status. So a black design on a black T-shirt on top of perhaps a black undergarment, which is actually infused into the T-shirt, just hard to see because of how VIP it is, might be super expensive. But that's what you pay for status, right? Marketing's coming along. All right, guys, let's jump into. I'm going to jump into the show. We'll come back. I'll answer your questions. Marketing's coming along fabulously, though, guys. Landing pages, copy, all kinds of things going on. Getting pretty excited over here. Rebranding, all this nice stuff, all working together in one fine oiled machine. So everything's looking good. Yeah, well, somebody's got to wear them, you know. What can I say? Okay, so I'm gonna jump into the show. We'll jump back into the AMA, guys. If you're here just to ask questions, you can post them now. I'll answer them later. If you want to get it answered live, then I would say you got to wait about 10 to 15 minutes. So hang in there, get some popcorn. Maybe I'll say something funny. Maybe something funny will happen. Maybe nothing funny will happen, but maybe you'll learn something. So either way, and maybe you learn nothing, maybe nothing's funny, and you fall asleep for 15 minutes, which, maybe you could use because it's stressful staying at home all day with the kids and whatnot. So let's see what happens. So if you haven't joined us before, my name is Kevin Murcko. I'm CEO here at CoinMetro. I do a weekly show called This Week in Crypto, which is basically me going over a bunch of news stories, me trying to give a bit of education, and then me answering questions live. On the agenda, we start with market news, 10 pieces of market news. I go over each one. I give a comment. If I get triggered by that news story, which generally means it mentions Binance or mentions something just completely out of context that makes no sense, I may take more than a minute. Generally in 10 to 15 minutes, though, we breeze through those. Then we have Kevin Explains Crypto. I get a term, a phrase, a word, something from the, crypto sphere, and I define what it is. And that's it. Pretty simple. Then live Q&A right over here on YouTube, as long as they'll have us, seeing as they're going through their purge again. We haven't been purged yet, though, so that's good. And then Reddit questions. I see we have one Reddit question this week, so I'll dive into that one as well, probably before we go into the live questions because it shouldn't take that long. So let's jump into market news, and we'll be back at this live question and answer pretty soon, 10, 15 minutes. Here we go, guys. Number one on the list of 10, Ripple sues YouTube, alleges failure to stop crypto scammers causing irreparable harm. Funny enough that, crypto's been banning all these different kind of crypto celebrities, influencers. Tone Vays, I saw recently. You don't know Tone Vays. He was an options trader back in the day. I think he's like 400 years old, something like that. His haircut generally looks that way. I kid Tone, but we're buddies. So yeah, I saw him. I think Crypto Lark also just got his, I don't know if his channel got deleted or he just had some videos shut down. But anyway, this has been an ongoing thing with YouTube. There's speculation that it might be automated or it just might be a glitch or they're just messing with us. I don't know. But it's funny that Ripple is suing YouTube for not taking down scammers, but YouTube seems to take down everybody else. So maybe they should just reverse the algorithm. Like everybody they think should stay should just get deleted. And that might affect us. So maybe they shouldn't do that. But anyway, it's interesting to see how Ripple is now trying to protect their brand pretty aggressively. So obviously Ripple's in bed or in partnerships with many banks. Banks tend to get a little weary and skittish when, there's some guy on YouTube saying that you're a scam or that you're selling into the crowd or, whatever nonsense, especially if that guy has a lot of viewers. So it's kind of interesting to see that Ripple is defending its brand. I mean, you should defend your brand. That's what you do. It's your brand. Defend it. I would do the same thing. But it's interesting to see because many crypto brands don't necessarily go through. They'll just go and get another influencer to say something else. They don't go the legal route. But because Ripple is in this kind of traditional, non-traditional gray area, they went the legal route. So they went the traditional route. We'll have to see how it comes out. But it's interesting to see how YouTube handles this suit, considering the fact that they don't have the best relationship with the crypto community right now, as it were. Let's see how they treat the scammers. The alleged scammers. Sorry about that. Number two on the list of 10, BitMEX reportedly continues to lose market share to Binance futures. Well, when you're the only man in town selling a product, you don't lose market share to anybody. When someone else in town starts to sell the same product and they have a big client base, you're going to lose some market share. So I wouldn't say Binance futures generally better than BitMEX, though BitMEX's platform and everything isn't the best either. I mean, in terms of comparing it to, let's say, other real world platforms, not necessarily crypto platforms, but other options platforms and futures platforms that exist out there in the universe. But Binance has a huge following. Many Binance customers were more than likely BitMEX traders because Binance didn't have leverage. Now Binance has leverage, so it makes sense. Plus, people tend to get pissed off at companies when they, shut them down from trading for 30 minutes or 3 hours or whatever, and then all of a sudden there's this huge gap in price, and they get stopped out and lose a ton of money. Not that that wouldn't have happened at Binance as well, but first impressions last for a long time, guys. So I think this is natural. And to be honest, I think once marketing really starts to kick off for us, they're going to lose some market share to CoinMetro as well. Number 3 on the list of 10, South Africa proposes 30 rules to regulate cryptocurrency. Just 30? Amateurs, right? I mean, I could probably rattle off 38, without even breaking a sweat. It's funny that the number is included in the head of the article. Like, that's supposed to make you feel like they're really doing a good job. Like, we're proposing 30 rules, not 26. We didn't propose 18. We went with 30, guys. 3-0. Anyway, I think, look, South Africa's a little late to the game here. Of course, a lot of the world is still very late to the game. But South Africa, interestingly enough, when it comes to FX regulation, is the only regulator outside of the EU that the EU deems at the same level in terms of FX regulation, outside of your major powers that be, like US. I think Australia might be on that list. Outside of Commonwealth, US, maybe Canada, it's the only country, let's say South America, Africa, Asia, that they deem to be on the same level, which is quite odd. So I will say the same thing to South Africa that I've said to every other regulator for the past at least 2 or 3 years in this industry, at least 3 years actually now in this industry, and for much longer than that in other industries. You don't need more regulation, guys. You don't need more rules. Take the rules you got and apply them. That's it. Make some carve-outs, meaning make it a little easier where you see fit based on the fact of how these assets can move, how they're managed, how they're tracked, but don't make new rules. Come on, guys. I mean, seriously. Number 4 on the list of 10, Securitize launches peer-to-peer security token trading service. So I actually looked at this one. I saw it before I came into the show today. Normally I don't read these articles because I've either seen something similar or I just don't have to, because based on the subject, I can pretty much dig right in. But I did look at this one because it came across my desk earlier today. So what they've done, and I haven't yet figured out if this really will work in every possible scenario. But what they've done essentially is they've created a mechanism by which the seller of an asset can create a link, essentially a link, which basically ends up linking, link is linking, to I guess there's some type of oracle onto a smart contract. So basically, a seller basically puts their assets into a smart contract, creates a link, somebody clicks on that link, and as long as they're KYC vetted by the underlying platform where the issuance occurred initially, they can sell between themselves, or the buyer and seller can transact between themselves. However, considering that the registrar, the golden registry on record, has to know where those assets are at all times, and the guy's already KYC'd, what exactly is the difference of doing it this way than just doing it through some other simplified ledger, virtual ledger on the same issuance platform? You can create a link so the guy can go and click a button and have it done. He's already KYC'd there anyway. Seems to me, I wouldn't call this a lazy solution, because it's not really a lazy solution. It's a unique way of marketing a solution that already exists to make it sound like it's more complex and awesome. But yeah, I'm still trying to wrap my head around if there's really something there. And so far, I haven't been able to come up with anything. But anyway, they're trying. Notably enough, Securitize uses open finance as their main secondary market, and open finance is about to go out of business. So that might be why they're pushing this forward. Number 5 on a list of 10, primary use case for Bitcoin in Latin America is quote unquote preservation of wealth. I think Latin America, that might be a bit of a stretch. There actually are currencies that hold up pretty well in Latin America, even during this time of crisis. Mexican peso might just be one of those. Yes, it's lost some ground. I would say close to 20% to the US dollar, but every year on average, it had lost 7% and hadn't lost those 7% for the past 3 to 5 years. I haven't gone back to actually look, but it's at least 3 years, could be maximum 5. So it's actually still performing quite well, even with the recent 20% loss, 22% loss, whatever it is, against the US dollar. So, but I would say, yes, in certain countries, Argentina, especially Venezuela, certain key countries in Latin America, anything. You could buy literally cans of sardines as a better preservation of wealth than leaving your assets in the underlying fiat currency of the country. and Bitcoin happens to be one of those options. I would say that in times of very regional, country-specific inflationary crises, Bitcoin has proven itself that is a use case for Bitcoin. That is one thing that I wouldn't deny, though it may be short term. Number 6 on a list of 10, Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey displays bullish stance with Bitcoin bio. Well, Jitter. Hey, should we launch a new company called Jitter? Why not? You could jit people, instead of tweeting, you'd be jeeting. I jeeted you on Jitter. I don't know. That actually doesn't sound all that bad. Kind of sounds weird though. I think you might mess up and say the wrong thing. Anyway, so Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey, apologies to Jack on that one, has been bullish on Bitcoin since like forever. So, this isn't really anything new. I would say he's just showing himself to be a bit more bullish. I always question a bit. I think Jack probably has a decent financial mind in his brain. I think he understands traditional finance more than most people. I always wonder if these type of guys are serious Bitcoin maximalists for a very specific reason. They want to load up Bitcoin, or they actually do believe. I don't have Corona, by the way. That was a forced cough. Or they actually believe in what they're saying. I don't know. Jack seems to me like he might actually believe it a bit, but I bet he still owns a lot of Bitcoin. Number 7 on a list of 10, crypto laws will be created by courts, not lawmakers. Kraken CLO. CLO, what is that? Chief Legal Officer? The CLO? Can we get a W on there? Like Chief Legal Officer of the World? Oh, no, we need an N too. Jesus, I was trying to spell clown. It's been a long day, guys. Chief Legal Officer of the World, notwithstanding. Clown. Okay. I'm not calling the guy clown. It's Friday, guys. What do you want from me? Jesus, who else said something like this way back in the day? Way back in the day, somebody had said that how U.S. law predominantly works is judicial precedent. Oh yeah, that was me. I said that a few times. So I have to agree with this clown. Sorry, Chloe, right off the bat, because he's right. In the U.S. and in jurisdictions that follow the same type of law that U.S. follows, common law would be a bit different. But in the U.S., for sure, judicial precedent. Lawmakers generally wait for judicial precedent on issues like these to be able to make new laws and then give them to the regulators to enforce. 100% agree with Kraken here. Number 8 on the list of 10, Tether issuance isn't fueling the Bitcoin price rise, a new study reveals. Ooh, a new study reveals, right? I wonder who made this study. Maybe guys cloaked to Tether? Look, I don't necessarily believe that the initial bit price run up to 20K was fueled entirely by Tether, but it does. There is look, if you can take fake money and buy a real asset and induce real price increase in another asset, then obviously at some point it's going to implode. And if you look at charts, if you look at price action, it is definitely a possibility. There was other things involved in that price boost. Tether, but the printing of Tether could have been one of them. I would say that it definitely can have an effect. We still don't know how Tether is actually backed. We know what they say. We have no idea how actually it's backed. And thus, it'll always remain a question in my mind of how much of that printed Tether is actually backed. If you can create money out of thin air, guys, to buy something else, you can buy a shit ton of that other object, right? So this new study, look, I've said this before, everybody has access to the same information with blockchain. It's amazing. You have access to unfettered information, but you need to know how to find it, where to locate. Well, you know where to locate it. You need to know what you're looking for and what to do with it and how to disseminate it, how to understand it once you get it. And most people can't do that. We don't have the tools yet. You have companies like Parsec, shout out to Parsec, by the way, parsec.io for those who haven't heard of them. You have companies like Parsec that are working to create tools where people can take all this information, disseminate it, and use it. And those type of tools are going to be, profitable businesses in the future, man, because all this information in the history of finance, we, as the normal people, never really had access to all this information. Now we do. We just need to be able to understand how to read it, how to use it, make it human readable. So there's going to be a lot of studies here or there. I don't think you can know the truth. It's kind of like the Corona situation. Some people, we're missing lots of data. So any decision you make is a guess. Number 9 on list of 10, India's crypto industry is bullish on largest ever FDI in tech sector from Facebook. All right. I did read about this, but I'm going to actually bring this one up real quick. Wow, I bring up one link and I can see myself like stuttering here. It said it's called Corona Internet. That's my new ISP. Sucks. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, they got a foreign direct investment. Yep, great. That's an FDI with geo platforms. Yeah. Okay, I remember reading about this. If I remember correctly, Geo is what, a payment app? I forget what the hell Geo was. Yeah. I think they do payments, and anyway, so they're trying to move into India. Potentially big news for Libra 2. Though Libra 2 is going to turn into Libra 2.5. Mark my words on that one. But look, India is a huge market, and they want in, and they want to spread their tech in first, which they have been doing. And now they want the ability, obviously, to move payments around, because having some type of stable or smart token, some type of Libra 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever, that allow them to have payments in India, which, by the way, is a huge open market. And then possibly after that, Pakistan and other countries generally in the region, not that they're similar markets, but is huge. So some people are going to come out and say this is super bullish for crypto in general. I don't see those lines yet, but it potentially could be. Number 10 on list 10, Ethereum smart contracts up 75% to almost 2 million in March. DeFi, bro. DeFi. I'm going to actually explain what that means, and Kevin explains crypto. But it's DeFi. It's decentralized finance. Lots of people are coming into Ethereum. Centralized finance is getting a bit of a kick in the ass, mainly because of stablecoins, because of Corona. So that's why you're seeing such an increase. I'm going to jump into Kevin Explains Crypto real quick. Then I'll answer this Reddit question, then move on. So this week's Kevin Explains Crypto, it's not a word. It's not an acronym. Is it amalgamation? I don't even know what you call this when you do this to words, but DeFi, that's DEFI with a capital D and a capital F. It's basically short for decentralized finance. So what in the world does that mean? So obviously, if you've been in crypto, and maybe even if you haven't, crypto, one of the big buzzwords in crypto is decentralized, decentralization, right? You're taking I would say most organizations in the world, especially those that revolve around finance, have a centralized hub of power. They are centralized. For something to happen, there's some centralized authority that has to make a decision, right? Think about your bank, think about your government, think about a central bank. Think about most things you do in life require the approval of somebody else, especially in finance, right? Decentralization means that's no longer the case. There's consensus mechanisms. There's ways that the network itself can make the decision based on the collective ideas or collective thoughts or collective voting of others, and thus make that decision decentralized, because it doesn't rely on a centralized partner or a centralized hub or a centralized anything. Finance, well, I guess everybody knows what finance is. So decentralizing finance is essentially taking that centralized power away. An example would be, let's say, a smart contract where collateral can sit, right? So let's say you have, or actually it's pretty much down the same line, but let's give an even simpler explanation of escrow, right? You have something you want to sell, somebody wants to buy it. That person puts their assets in a decentralized smart contract, right? That potentially is attached to an oracle, maybe. When the asset is given to them, then you are basically given your funds, and the oracle in this case could be used to figure out when the product was actually delivered, maybe through a UPS code, for example. It's signed for, UPS says it's delivered, the oracle releases the oracle sends that data to the smart contract releases the funds. That's a decentralized finance transaction. That's DeFi. Again, there's many more things. Stable coins, big piece of DeFi. Decentralized stablecoins, definitely part of DeFi, but even somewhat centralized stablecoins can still be part of DeFi, because certain aspects of stablecoins are already decentralized, even when they're centralized stablecoins. Anyway, let that ring into your head for a bit, but that's it. DeFi, decentralized finance. There you go, guys. Moving on to Reddit question, real quick. Natural Short. I know an FO I don't know what FO means in this context. Maybe somebody can help me here. That has been adding BTC here. I figured you guys must be doing well, but it's super quiet in here. This is your moment, but it seems you have dropped the ball. What happened? Where's the volume and liquidity? Why would we want to use CoinMetro? There's a space between Coin and Metro, by the way. With many alternatives, other alternatives. Just some grammatical stuff here. Some is obviously wrong. I don't mean to nitpick, right? But it's Friday, so I'm going to do it anyway. Many other alternatives. Alternatives is already assuming you don't need the word other. It's many alternatives. Anyway, okay, so going back to, I don't know what FO means, so sorry, can't really. Anybody know what FO means in this context? I know an capital F, capital O that has been adding BTC here. Anybody? Anybody know what that is? No? All right. So look, we've been in a position where we've been building. We received some additional funding in November. Since we've gotten that funding, the building has been fine-tuned and tweaked around optimization of onboarding and optimization of dashboard, basically, deposits, withdrawals, et cetera. And now we're moving into the marketing phase. Everybody, look, every time something happens in the last 2 years, not that the Corona crisis has happened, but there's been little things that have happened, little bull runs, little whatever. And everybody always says the same thing. Oh, this is your time, guys. Sure, you guys should be pumping right now. Oh, this is the perfect opportunity. What are you going to do in the next bull run? Look, in this business, and I'm talking about not just crypto in general, but in the finance platform business, trading business, there is always a new crisis. Always. And this crisis isn't going to lead to any more Bitcoin buying or selling than any other crisis would lead to, even though it's this macro. You want to know why? Because right now, the population that actually deals in these assets, highly speculative assets, generally do it with money they can afford to lose. Thus, if they don't have a lot of money to lose right now because of this macro crisis, they ain't coming in. And those that have already deposited in should have had enough money, and this isn't going to be significant money for them. So unless it's a huge crisis that lasts for a significant amount of time, they're not going to be cashing out. Thus, ebb and flows will be generally similar with small spikes here and there. So I would say our moment is coming, whether it's now, whether it's in 2 months, whether it's in 3 months, whether it's in 5, whether it's tomorrow, the moment is coming and we are gearing up and we are doing everything we need to do to make sure that we do it correctly. This isn't 2017. You can't just get lucky and with timing and automatically blow up. That's not how it works. You need to be better than the competition. You need to be more focused than the competition. You need to do things that actually separate you from the competition. So that's part of your question, actually. Volume and liquidity. Look, we have a lot of liquidity. People confuse volume and liquidity. They're not the same, right? We have lots of liquidity in the book and behind the book. And remember that liquidity updates pretty fast. It updates sometimes multiple times per second, especially when people are actually in the book, especially for majors. So we have liquidity. Volume is obviously your transactional volume. It's how many transactions you've done. Liquidity, though, you can't always see liquidity. Liquidity is like an iceberg. You see the tip. You don't see the full iceberg. Liquidity has always been there. It's about getting volume. That's about getting growth. And we're about to go into our growth strategy through marketing. And yeah, there's many alternatives. Actually, there's probably less alternatives over time now than there used to be. We are positioning ourselves to be a better place than most, mainly because of, well, several aspects. Pricing is definitely one. Look, we just did a survey, and basically from clients and non-clients, one of the main things that attracts them to CoinMetro, whether they're an active client or not, is pricing. Definitely customer support and service, the way that we deal with clients. And the different offerings that we have on the product side. So having the exchange, having margin, having Tran, and these different services that make us unique. Moving forward, having debit cards, having virtual IBAN accounts, potentially in the near future, having access to ACH in the US as well. We are going to be able to position ourselves. We already can position ourselves with the top guys, maybe not on volume, but definitely on almost every other aspect. And we're only going to get better. So we might be an underdog now, but we're an underdog that's poised, smart, and getting ready to attack. So that makes us dangerous. Moving on. So let's move into, I give myself a clap on that one. I don't even know why I did that. It was like involuntary. Let's move on to Ask Me Anything here. And I am going up top here. A couple questions. Well, that's one. Okay, so scrolling up here. How many different t-shirt designs? I answered that one. Quite a very important. 25 t-shirts, 28 euros each. Yeah, on some of them might be a little bit more than 20 euros because they have multiple designs. Like you'll see on this shirt, is it this side? No, it's this side. Or maybe it was that other side. Hold on. Jesus. Hold on, guys. Here we go. Like this has, you see this here, and then you can see CoinMetro maybe in the back there. So these shirts actually have multiple designs. So they're a little bit more expensive than your average shirt, and they're actually an upgrade from this. But yeah, roughly, that's roughly the price, yeah. To Bjorn now. Yeah, I saw that. Jesus, he must have replicated himself. I don't know. Okay. As CM started to earn profits, how is marketing? I would address who this was, but Chinese, well, maybe Asian characters. I don't know if it's Chinese or Korean or Japanese. I'm not unfortunately, I can't read all this. I would love to. Earn profits. No, we have revenues. We are not profitable yet. Our first goal, obviously, because it just makes sense, is self-sustainability. Then you go into profit, right? Self-sustainability, I think, is the first most important goal. And it is the hardest goal with any startup. Once you hit self-sustainability, you go over by 1 penny, you're profitable, right? Obviously not by much, but it's kind of like the analyst that says, higher prices today above 7,000 could lead to potentially higher prices. Like, that's the no shit Sherlock comment of the year. Obviously, you have to go higher to get higher. that's just how it works. But yeah, so we haven't started your profits yet. No, we are with marketing. We will inch our way and then push our way, run our way, crawl our way, and then start running towards self-sustainability. I'll give you a little idea. Obviously, with any marketing goal, your goal is to get user acquisition costs down. Our goal here is to get user acquisition cost around 5 euros, right? Now, that can be difficult when you go through certain avenues. It can be easier through other avenues. But let's assume a 5 euro acquisition cost, right? And even if we get this acquisition cost at 10 or 15 or even 20 euros, we can still make it work. It just takes us longer to get the initial push in marketing. But let's assume a super small budget. I'm not saying this is the budget, but let's assume we send 10,000 euros on ads, just so I can do the math in my head, even though I could probably do bigger math, but I want you guys to follow along, right? 10,000 euros, five euro acquisition cost. That gives you 2,000 active clients. Those 2,000 active clients, let's say, earn you 5 euros a month. That first month, you get back your 10,000 euros. You put that back into marketing. Next month, you have another 2,000. Now you have 4,000 active clients. That second month, you have 2,000. You're making 20,000 euros. You put that back into marketing. The next month, you have another 4,000. You now have 8,000 active. That month after that, you make 40,000. You get my point. Very quickly, even with a small budget, once you get copy, once you get everything correct during your testing period, and you're able to fine tune that acquisition cost, whatever that is, 5, 10, 15, 20, and on up, you simply need the budget to start, and you need to maintain your business as you were before. And there you go. Obviously, at some point that as you scale, that copy can stop to work and you go back to the drawing board. But generally speaking, good copy that works for a certain period with this type of product is good copy. Marketing plan is complete. What is the market plan? How Google Ads, and then what? So we've talked about this a few times. Google Ads is definitely part of it, as is Facebook, as is Twitter. As is more focus on content, more SEO content, more real, let's say, reader-worthy content, both placed locally and externally. Then trying to place that same content, reuse that content through both mainstream media, crypto media, influencers, and yeah, then putting more focus actually on this content. Kevin explains crypto, the AMA. Definitely, Kevin explains crypto. Using those. You're probably going to notice a few changes around here in the next month or so. A little bit of equipment upgrades, some blue screen action, green screen action, and we'll start to really fine tune and push this content. We've made a lot of content, guys. Now it's time to let that content shine. Any updates regarding increased leverage? It's like I said, it was number one on Oliver's to-do list. I think we're rolling out a lot of updates today, actually, and over the weekend. It's not part of those, but I think in the coming week or weeks, 1 or 2 weeks, I think you will probably see the first inkling of that increased leverage and collateral. How fast is the CSD? Like, how many transactions can it handle in a day, hour, minute, second? Hey, Mohammed. As far as the CSD goes, the first iteration, which is already live, can do 20,000 transactions a second. Our goal is 4 million transactions per second in a burstable rate, but burstable but maintainable, meaning it can do 4 million transactions per second for quite a sustainable amount of time. Burstable even higher. But right now it's 20,000 transactions per second. Understand that the virtual settlement layer doesn't have the same restrictions as on-chain, as the on-chain layer does. Thus, that 4 million transactions per second is definitely possible. And we're already in non-production, already surpassing the 20K by several multipliers. Did Montenegro allow you a 2-year extension? We're going to find out that later today. I haven't got the news, but I'm fairly positive that we're going to get the 2-year extension. Are you still satisfied with the effectiveness of working at home? I mean, still banks, institutions, et cetera, answering even on Saturday? Yeah, I've had conversations now with a few people that I used to see. The only time I would see them is in events, right? So, which was quite frequent, but, 3, 4, 5 times a year, 6 times a year, we'd only see each other at events. And we, now we have calls. And we were joking that, with some counterparties where you could only see them at events, or they only wanted to meet in person, where you'd fly somewhere, you lose a day getting there, you have 2 days worth of meetings, lunches, and then you have 1 day of kind of relaxation. Maybe you go out to dinner with these guys, there's some after party or whatever nonsense. Then you lose another day flying back. So basically in a week, you get 2 days worth of work and 2 sparsely kind of managed days, sparsely kind of scheduled days in that week. And now in 5 hours over WebEx or whatever, you get the same amount of work done you got in that week. So yes, I would say this is, I think almost everybody I talk to has this same idea. And I think you're going to see that's one of the major shifts that's going to come out of this macro fear pandemic that everybody's having themselves sitting in right now, is that many companies will decide not to renew those mega commercial rent leases and decide to just keep people at home and find ways to manage productivity, which they've probably now seen is higher than usual. Some companies have been struggling, but the vast majority, I think, especially in finance and other industries, I think are doing quite well in terms of being able to manage it at this point. So we'll see. I've been hodling quant like a retard. I got to start buying the dips and selling the peaks. Yeah. Well, if you're hodling, I guess you shouldn't necessarily be selling or trying to day trade. Day trading a illiquid, highly volatile asset, not easy. Unless it's just one directional for some time, like crypto was for years. That's why people thought they were crypto traders. But yeah, you generally want to buy low and sell high. I guess that's trading 101, I guess. Bjorn, make a social platform called Shitter where you can shit post without censorship. We could have a decentralized shitter, I guess. Probably would get way too many, but probably get real interesting, real fast, and then scary. And then we'd probably get shut down somehow. They wouldn't be able to shut us down, but they'd probably create some kind of barrier, and then the shit post would just not be as interesting anymore. But I don't know. We could do it. We could do it as a test. Somebody saying they own 600 million shit coins, an actual token. Yep, definitely an actual token. Kind of a meme token, I guess. But it's literal, so that's kind of cool. It's the most literal name of a token probably that exists. Marketing just started. What is another priority on the CM list? Growth. Everything is tied to growth. So that means growth generally means we're focusing on things in all areas of the company. We're still focused, marketing has, the process has started. The actual marketing, the real marketing campaigns haven't started. So that's still in process. Landing pages, the rebranding, basically creating something fresh, a bit new, rolling out that new dashboard, getting rid of the more overly kind of cartoonish image into a more, I would say, mature image Still, it is still, we're still going to have illustrations, guys, because look, we're a retail brand. One thing you don't want to do as a retail brand is be a little too serious about yourself. All right. Some retail brands go that route because they're founded by guys that have corporate experience at other financial companies, and they can't think outside of that corporate bubble. Coinbase, for example, right? Blue and white. I'm not a fan of that, and I can attest to you, it is not needed for success. I would agree that, look, we did very well with our token sale, and our image helped us, right? Even though many people thought it wasn't the right thing to do, it worked. As we transition now into this growth phase into a more mature company, it's time to mature the image a bit. I'm all in favor of that, 100%. At the same time, though, we don't want to take ourselves too seriously. We are, it's a serious business. Having other people's money is a serious business, but people are humans, guys. And I think the way we interact, we're on Telegram. We do this every week. We have these AMAs. People generally can communicate with us. They can see we're real humans. We're real people. We know what we're talking about. We're not spouting ridiculousness, but we're keeping the levity there. And I think that's important with a retail brand, especially one, that's dealing in both traditional and non-traditional types of assets. Over time, we'll probably see a few rebrandings. Some might be drastic, some might not be. This one, I would say, is not drastic, but it's going to be a change. People are going to notice it, and I think it's going to help us. And so moving on from there, why CoinMetro? Why Montenegro CSD? Well, don't focus on the Montenegro. Look, we needed a place to test proof of concept, and we were looking around in the EU, and that means Lithuania. That means obviously the UK, meaning region as far, not EU, but Europe. And to be honest, there's lots of sandboxes. Many, though, didn't fit the criteria we needed. And along came Montenegro, a regulator that's willing to work with us, that can move fast, that is open to suggestion, that allowed us to help shape the sandbox based on best practices. We didn't do it to make it better for ourselves, but we did it based on best practices, and they were willing to listen to us. And it got done in 6 weeks. Amazing. Not only that, Montenegro has basically a carbon copy of MiFID II, which is the directive in the EU that covers most of the financial space. And their regulations are very similar, and they use the euro. So for a company in Europe that's testing something, to test it underneath basically the same regulation, using the same currency, with general banking connectivity and things, it's quite it's something that's quite unique. It doesn't matter how big the GDP of Montenegro is. It doesn't matter how, obviously, doing something like this in New York, yeah, you'd get some more eyes on you, sure. And you know what? We're going to be going into talks with the SEC. We would have been in them already, but Corona. And we probably will do additional sandboxes. And one of those could be from no action relief in the US. Could even be in the state of Hawaii, who we're also in talks with. The point is that for where we are now, for the initial test, it's not perfect, but it's pretty unique. And it's going to give us the ability to test. And look, we can onboard people from virtually anywhere in the world. Projects can come from anywhere in the world. Investors can come from virtually anywhere in the world. We're not limiting ourselves to Montenegro, but you need a place that can house you. And there's honestly not many places around the world that you can do this in. So Montenegro kind of fell into our lap. Yeah, telecom company. Yeah, okay. You're right, Musab. Sorry about that. I'm late, 20 minutes again. Did I miss? Okay. Oliver said you will give me some news on GBP and cards. Uros, GBP and cards. Okay. So we recently got the nod from not the initial, one of the initial providers we were talking to for cards, not the one that we had been waiting on that had some issues with their correspondent banking, but another one. I would say pretty well known, the founder of which founded another company about 10 years ago that's one of the leading EMI kind of transfer companies in the globe, based in London. We'll release the name probably next week or the week after once we have contracts signed. Right now, we haven't signed an NDA, but we also haven't yet signed the contract, though we were told it's coming. So everything's been essentially agreed to internally. This is going to allow us to very quickly launch cards and GBP. Why GBP before Euro? It's a UK-based company, and they want to test initially with GBP because that's they have stronger systems, or they're just easier for them to test. But within weeks of that, probably 2 to 3 weeks of launching GBP, we should be able to launch Euro as well with them, which would mean Euro cards. Give me a second, guys. Which would mean Euro cards as well as using them aside LHV for Euro deposits and offering virtual IBANs, etc. So I would say, conservatively speaking, by the end of May, GBP will be active, GBP pairs will be active, and by mid-June to late June, I guess conservatively late June, but mid to late June, you'll have a GBP card in your hands. Card program takes about 4 weeks to get approved. Let's assume we get contracts today, we sign next week. That would mean right around the beginning of May, we can start the process. End of May, it's done. Production happens. By the 15th of June, cards can be mailed out. I think that's roughly a good timeline to follow. Hi, Kev. It was first week, but how effective was marketing and how many signups did we get? We have seen, you can see in Telegram some new people. I've seen more new alerts inside of Slack as KYC and stuff comes through. Definitely compliance and support has been more busy in terms of going through onboarding. Marketing hasn't yet actually, so landing pages were initially going to be finished on Monday. There was a few tweaks, some color changes, a few things. Sorry. And there was a few things that needed to be changed that were outside of marketing's hands. That's now been done. So I think we'll probably see that happen next week. But there has been an uptake on a few platforms without the landing pages, and some more content being pushed out. We have seen more signups. I think what we'll do, once we officially start these marketing tests, I will make sure I get an update every Friday morning from our marketing team of how many new signups have come in versus the last week. So I'll be able to share those with you on a weekly basis. So I'll write that down, make sure we get that done. Any further news on getting USD? I have a call on Monday. I was supposed to have that call. Thought I was gonna have that call this week, but the company didn't reach out to me. They did though set it up for Monday. So Monday morning I'll have the call. Next week I should have some updates on USD, hopefully. Finance officer, French oyster, foreign object. Yeah, I don't know. That FO thing. Friendly observer. I mean, I have no idea. They're mining BTC instead of creating pearls now. Better R&R. Yeah. Kevin, disposable income can go up in a lockdown as well. Can't go out, can't go to shops, can't travel. So more income to throw at crypto. That's true if you still have a job. And you're relatively secure in the fact that you're not going to lose that job because your company is well-funded, not losing revenue, and not going to lay you off. I would say that that's difficult because you've seen Disney and all these, airlines, obviously, but even companies, Disney, manufacturing companies, even Walmart. There are companies like Amazon that have been hiring, but most companies, I would think, are at some risk of furloughing employees. And even if you believe that your company won't be furloughing you, I think people's idea of saving. Now, some people may equate with buying crypto to saving. Others equate it to a speculative investment. So it depends on how, but you're right that in some cases, being on lockdown may actually give people more spending power than it would otherwise. But I'm not sure that's the majority. But you could be right. It could be the majority. But how are we supposed to apply price discovery on crypto assets like Bitcoin when a majority of the volatility comes from coordinated whale movements and not a process of value creation? I don't know if that came out of something I said, that question, Dozon. So price discovery is one thing. Price discovery is simply finding available price. Usually means finding multiple price points, multiple markets, aggregating those prices, and you get what would be considered a legitimate kind of mean average price across an OTC market. That's price discovery. But when you're talking about how do you price an asset? Look, coordinated whale movements, I don't know if I buy that one, to be quite honest. You're talking about a very fragmented market, and it's all OTC, meaning that someone could knock the price down on Binance, but it won't immediately fall everywhere else. It'll immediately fall on places that are taking liquidity from Binance, people that are watching Binance for price discovery may end up selling at other venues, but smaller venues in smaller countries, especially where there's inflation, can actually have much higher prices, even if prices are falling, or vice versa. So I don't really buy this might have been on my when I was talking about just having access to information. Imagine all that information for whale movements is there. Whales would have to move their funds from one wallet to a trade wallet, or from one wallet where they've had OTC trades before to another wallet. There are some, you can see the data. You need to understand how to read that data, but the data is there for you to mine, that's not the case with traditional finance. Again, that's why the tools are needed, because we can't just sit there and stare at a blockchain and go, oh, Bitcoin's going to drop. But if you had the access to the information and it was curated correctly, then you possibly could make that decision. Crypto is hard to price. It's hard to price because Bitcoin, look, has a cost to mine, which gives it a relative low mean value, but it doesn't necessarily have any other specific value. So yes, it's hard to price, but I would say its pricing mechanism is similar to that of gold or silver, not because it's akin to gold or silver in any way, shape, or form, other than the fact that they're mined. Mining has a cost. Miners generally don't sell below that cost unless they're forced to. I look like Rick Grimes. I don't even know who that is. Is that guy cool? If he's cool, it's awesome. If he's not, I don't like you anymore, and I may never talk to you again. Is it because of Beardy? I still don't know who he is, though. Is the new banking partner on board? One of these partners is this entity that will be providing us with cards. So yes, that contract's a coming. And the others, we're filling out additional documentation. So process is ongoing. What are the revenues like? Revenues right now are low, though in terms of per client, they are rising. So once we release margin, once people actually started to use it, the fact that now clients that are active are becoming more active because of fine tuning of the platforms and et cetera, that's actually rising, and that's very important, because that means if we can keep our client acquisition costs low, our revenue per client should expand, which is great. Overall, though, most of the money is made on margin. And I would say that right now, with our current burn rate, it's less than 5% of our burn rate, which may seem super low, but it's all about metrics, and the metrics are looking quite good. Now it's just about user acquisition. New dashboard, just had a new iteration. Well, the next sprint was the last sprint was published. I think at the end of this sprint, which is next week, I think we should have another version. Might be close to the final version, if not the final version. And then we're going to have some design tweaks and elements, so maybe one more work. So I would say 2 weeks from today, we'll probably see the new dashboard start to come to life. Hello, I have a question. Will you use quant in the CSD? Do you think quant will become a standard solution? What do you think of quant tokenomics? Thanks in advance. I haven't looked at quant tokenomics. I have seen them in the past. I haven't looked at it recently, so I don't want to make comment on that, because my comment will come out of thin air and it might just be erroneous. I would say I'd have talked to quant. We haven't talked again. I don't necessarily know about, I know their vision for quant being basically a clearing or a settlement solution between Fed banks in the US as an initial. There's other countries, obviously, they're talking with, but that was what they were doing at the time when I talked to them. What we're doing with the CSD is slightly different, and it involves some more complexities, and in other stages, less complexities. But overall, it's different, because we're doing settlement of securities. Settlement of securities involves some complexities that don't exist in basic settlement of the same underlying same asset, which is a digital currency, between two different locations. Speed, I guess, is one thing we'd both be working on. I don't think we'd use quant per se for the underlying network, but we may look at using quant for some other way that could be tied to exactly what their current use cases or what they're trying to do, which is settlement with central banks, which is something we have to do as a CSD, settling client money against central bank money. And that's kind of where the conversation started. We will pick that up. Once we get into the sandbox in Montenegro, we will pick that conversation back up with quant, see what we can do. What will the CSD extension allow you to do? What does this mean for CoinMetro? What it means is that initially we're talking about 6 months sandbox plus an additional 6 months if you're approved for the extension. That's a maximum 1 year. That means that let's say you get into the sandbox and you start getting issuers. An issuer comes in on month 3 and they have a 1-year bond that they want to, launch. They couldn't do it because we only have 9 months left, maximum. So 2 years allows us allows a little more flexibility in the type of assets we can offer. The contract lengths, convertibles now become possible, maybe 1-year bonds with conversion, even 2-year if they start right away. But it just gives us more time to have more perpetual like assets trading. Also perhaps gives us the ability to do some form of equities as long as we have an out, but it gives us more time to be able to find the out, either get into another sandbox, acquire licensing, or use a licensing of another CSD so that once the sandbox ends, those perpetual instruments can continue to operate. So it's actually big. It's quite a big change. Yeah, it could be. Yeah, I thought the same thing, Harold, on the FO. But in the context then, if I go back and read it, it doesn't make any sense. And he said I know FO. Financial organization? Maybe it meant FI, financial institution. That's probably what he meant, actually. I don't know. Anyway. Rain Man Red Doug. Are there still talks about using XCM as collateral for Tran? Yes. Yes, 100%. Just needs it's a process to get there, and growth in the user base is the process to get there. Why rebranding at this point? Well, companies tend to rebrand, right? Sometimes you don't notice it. Sometimes it's just a logo. They put a round corner because they paid some analyst $500,000 to say round corners make people more comfortable with your product because it doesn't look so acute and it makes them feel as if they can relate, whatever, I don't know, whatever nonsense. And the guys at the board go, and they pay a bunch of money for that. For us, I think internally, look, it's two-way street for me. One, internally in the company, we've been looking at the same branding, the little cityscape and the windmills and all this stuff for 3 years almost. And, we haven't done marketing, which means we haven't seen explosive growth or big growth. And I think it can be slightly demotivating in that people start to think that it's the company that's why the growth isn't happening. And I think a rebranding internally get people excited. It gets them again involved in a creative thought process, gets their creative juices flowing. It perks them up. It gets people excited to come to work, excited to get things done. That's one. Two, from the outside, we have 55,000 people on a email list, right? That came and did something with the platform at some point, and haven't unsubscribed, but kind of don't give a shit of what we're saying anymore, And rebranding, both visual image and image, can help spur some, questions from those guys. It spurs some interest and say, hey, look, what's going on here? This is new. Oh, look at this. This is cool. I just want to, going in, look, we're going into our first actual marketing campaign. We have a real marketing staff. We have we have Morteza and Lena, and we have Oliver from product, and we have, Giovanni, who's helping out with art direction. And we have our new illustrator, Soren, who's also helping out with art. We have guys that are extremely passionate about getting this done and moving it now. And it's kind of a gift to them. It's a gift to them so that the old staff is excited as well, just as they are, because they're new and they're just digging into this. And it's just to propel us into that next step. And to be honest, in terms of our brand, we always had this futuristic kind of branding. It was kind of futuristic and old, which was on purpose because it's traditional meets this new finance ecosystem, right? But now we want to move into a more futuristic look. Now we're really moving into the future, right? So we set the foundation, and now it's we're moving, and just color scheme and everything like that, make it a bit more mature around the maturing product. That's it. When marketing starts, the CM will start to make profits. As said, marketing has already started. The process has already started. You will start to see ads in the coming 1 to 3 weeks. And in the next 6 to maximum 8 weeks, you will see a full marketing campaign come to life. So those first marketing campaigns will be small. They'll be with different copy. And we will be testing to see, we'll be testing acquisition costs, all that stuff. We'll be testing to see where people fall out of the onboarding process, whether it's the uploading of their ID, taking a selfie, whatever. We will be optimizing along that way. And then as soon as we find the right cost, the right optimization, the best copy that works, that keeps them on the journey, that gets them to be an onboarded client, we push and we push hard. Look, Dave goes on. I think that the GUI is only going to get better. That's it. I think right now there is a little bit too much color. It's hard to find a CTA in some pieces. We're not going to, dismantle the thing and kill it. It's still going to have a very unique feel. It's just going to be, look, some things, unfortunately, and I hate to say this, and I agree with you in some way, shape, or form. If it was just for me, it's cool. I kind of like it. I could deal with it. But what I like isn't necessarily what everybody likes. And when it comes to these types of things, financial systems, standardization is needed. When I go to a website, I instinctively look, up to look for links, and I look down to look for the footer or the company name. And I may look, when I look for, a sell button, it's going to be red. And when I look for a buy button, it's going to be green. There's certain things that everybody does, not because they want to, but because people are used to it. And the one thing you don't want to do is make a unique deposit flow. We want people to deposit money. We don't want to make it difficult. We want people to trade. We don't want to make it difficult. Making it unique and not making it difficult can be very difficult. I've seen platforms. I'll give you an example in FX, CTrader, excellent front-end platform. Excellent, much better than some of the others. They've never been able to really see success because they're different. People have to adapt. It may very well be much better, but they've already adapted to the other guys. For them to adapt to you, when you have 30 million clients, you can slowly get them to adapt, and that's how you keep them. Because then when they leave your platform, look, if you have even 1 million clients and you gradually over time create these unique features that they love, they won't go anywhere else because now the other places don't feel standard. Right. But when you're the guy that's trying to get the clients, you need to become standard in certain ways to get the clients in, then you can become unique. So we kind of went a little backwards there at first, and we have to pedal back a bit. But it's still going to be ours, and it's still going to be cool. I wouldn't be too worried about that. Any update on CSD? So I already gave an update on CSD. I guess you probably heard it. Montenegro fall on China's debt trap. Well, yeah, Belt and Road Initiative, definitely. I've actually met a few Chinese officials in Montenegro. Again, doesn't matter at all. Doesn't matter at all. The financial, I would say stability even doesn't matter to us because it's a simple place that's going to allow us to test. We're not establishing a company there forever. We may choose to get licensed there as a stopgap for CoinMetro, maybe, but still, it's a means to grow the business, and their GDP or their debt doesn't really play into that. Why should I use a CoinMetro card instead of my bank card, though? Well, there's specific reasons, and one, maybe just think it's a cool card. Look, I don't have my wallet with me here, but if I did, I probably have 15 different debit cards and 30 different credit cards. And I don't have debt on those cards, but I use them quite extensively for different reasons. Some give me perks that others don't. Some give me access to things others don't. Some have really good concierge services that I never use the card, but I pay the yearly fee because the concierge service is that much better. Some I only use for tech purchases because I know I can get 120 days if it gets stolen or lost or I spill water on it, I get my money back. Some debit cards I use because they give me insurance. Some debit cards I use because they give me perks on the platform where the debit card is based. Some debit cards I use because they're based in a certain country and I'm able to have some tax advantage with that specific country by leaving my money there or having money sent to that country, whatever. So there's a million reasons, and it's going to be different for everybody. I think for CoinMetro, look, you're going to have a CoinMetro debit card. For the first instance of the debit cards, we're still looking at how we're going to structure because we can only have one card with the first stage because we want to test. Going forward, though, we will have multiple cards. Imagine you have a card you pay 10 euros a month for, but it gives you 15 euros a month in free commissions, and you generally spend 20 euros a month in commission. Well, now you're only going to spend 15, 10 for the card, and then above that another 10. Sorry. As you pay 10 for the card, you get 20. So you're only going to spend the 10 instead of the 20. You understand what I'm saying? So you're going to save money. Maybe you simply like the design. You want to carry it around. Maybe you're an ambassador and it's going to be a way for you to get more clients. You're like, check this cool card out, because some people just like cards. Maybe it's because, well, you do have your job and you get paid your salary, but you have a business that you want to run, maybe a consulting business, and you decide to set that up in Estonia. Why not? With the e-residency program. And guess what? You can use your CoinMetro account to get the money in there, and you don't intermingle it with your other expenses. Maybe you want to open the card and give the card to your younger daughter, son, your wife, and you want to put only a certain amount of money on there to segment. I don't know. There could be, everybody could have different reasons. Maybe it's because it's cheaper. Maybe it's because you're already doing business with CoinMetro. Maybe it's because when you try to move money to CoinMetro, the virtual IBAN now allows you to move money to a crypto exchange where you couldn't before. And, sometimes you want to take your profits out, but you don't necessarily want to move them completely out of the ecosystem, but you want access immediately if you need it. So you put them on the card, and then you can move them back to the exchange. So yeah, lots of reasons, I think. 6, so we're in the process of finalizing the documentation so we can get that account online with Australian dollars as well. I would say by the end of May, second odd as well with GBP. You can use the GBP card anywhere. It's just denominated in GBP. That simply means that you would have pounds on the card and be spending pounds for the first test. So you'd probably want to wait for the euro if that was your choice. But you could use it. Will I be able to use a debit card internationally? Yes, and you can apply for the card if you're not in the UK or the EU. Do you think coronavirus will affect spending on the platform by new users who are going to be acquired? It could, sure, just like we just talked about. It could actually make them spend more. It could make them spend less. They could be coming to us basically for passive income. Maybe Tran. Maybe it's about getting passive income from an investment rather than having it sit in the bank and earn nothing. Or they just think there might be runs on the bank. They won't have access to their money. Another reason to have a debit card from a non-bank institution. Cop from Walking Dead. I've never watched Walking Dead. Should I watch it? I don't know if I'm a Walking Dead kind of guy. Anyway. Hey, Kev, any update of the mobile app progress in the form of exchange function? Big mobile app update is coming. There's lots of GUIs that are being shared around. We're getting close. Structure is getting much light years better, and it's moving. So we're getting the next update. The next big update will be huge. Chainlink, yep. Whatever happened to that stable coin you were thinking of listing? The mixed token. Yeah, I have to get back in touch with those guys. I don't know how their development is. They did get stuck on a few development things. Then we got stuck on a few things. I'm gonna have to swing around and talk to those guys again. We probably will be listing a US dollar stable coin once in the coming 2 months or so. And that might be USDC. And everybody's going to cringe at that one because of Coinbase and blah, 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 blah. But we need one. I'm not going to list Tether, and I need one that's somewhat liquid. So that's probably going to be our choice, but we'll see. Yeah, I don't like round corners either, but hey, some people do. Some people like them. What do you want? What metrics will you use to measure how successful is marketing? Well, I think there's lots of standard metrics to see how marketing is doing. Obviously, user growth, the amount of users that come from that advertising, the amount of users that actually click through, the amount of users that just are an email in our database, the amount that actually click through and do KYC, the amount that are interactive with us, the amount of users that actually end up converting, and especially the user acquisition cost. That is going to be the number one thing we're looking at. Do you think XCM could ever be a market cap in the multi-billion? Possible, sure. It is possible. I think that would happen more with an equity token, which we will eventually have. And don't worry, there will be swappability between XCM and equity. But the ecosystem itself, look, the company already has a valuation of 50 million. The next valuation step will be multiples of that. Having $1 billion valuation is not unheard of, and I do think at some point it will happen. how many billions we'll have to see on how big this market actually potentially becomes. And with that, obviously, there's a lot of people using the platform. So, if I like the idea of a rebrand, but will you keep, CoinMetro name will stay intact. I think rebranding is a great idea too. It's important to continually evolve the design. I agree. What about those algo trading companies that were looking to launch trams? Oliver, Pat, tag Oliver in Telegram on that one. I haven't gotten an update on that one. How is your work tempo at CoinMetro in general? Is it relaxed or tight, intense? It's a combination. It's generally a relaxed environment, everybody, but I like to give people the space they need to work. I don't want to micromanage. That doesn't mean I don't do that sometimes, because sometimes, well, you have no choice. But I like to give people breathing room, and I tend to think that keeps it a bit relaxed. But look, we have deadlines, even if you don't want to believe that, and we do pound the pavement, guys. People work long hours, they get things done. We have lots of things that we need to get done. It may not look like it, right? People don't understand the amount of paperwork and the amount of things that need to happen for any of these things to actually move forward. But I would say it's relaxed overall. I think it's a good work environment. Do you envision being headquartered in Estonia forever? No, headquartered, no. Office here, yes. Headquartered, no. Love the passion about the team. Go get them. Considered a cashback XCM back. I know you just sent XCM for that program for the cards. Yes, considered. We have to see how intricate we can integrate with the APIs. Probably in the first card issuance, this MVP issuance of 5,000 cards or so, it won't be happening. But once we get into a larger program outside of 5,000 cards, it's definitely something we're already talking about. Next update will be huge, huge. Yeah. Credit cards. I'd much rather deal with the customer service of CoinMetro than my bank. Debit cards, not credit cards. We're not going to be giving credit, at least not in the first iteration, but debit cards. So, but yeah, I'd rather deal with anybody than my bank. I'd rather call the sewage company than the bank. It's probably the same guys, actually, that answer the phone. When CMHQ will be in the future? Well, that depends. That depends greatly on where the company goes. In the EU, I would envision Western Europe. I would say there's possibilities of Netherlands. There's possibilities of Germany, maybe even. There's possibilities of, in Europe, the UK, possibly UK and somewhere else in Europe. There's possible. Look, it all depends. If we start going through marketing in 2 years from now, we've launched a few huge marketing campaigns, and now the majority of our user base has switched from Europe to South America, for example, well, then it may make sense. Yeah, I don't envision that happening, but you get my point. I do think, though, that in the short term, we have been looking at the Netherlands as possible another office base. Doesn't mean headquarters yet, but could mean another regulated spot in Western Europe to expand banking, expand a few other things. So I don't know, but look, in these day and age, it doesn't really matter. I would keep this office running because we have great people here, and I wouldn't abandon them, nor would I make them move somewhere else. But I do think that headquarters, i.e., where we consider to be the base of operations, will probably change over time. But that won't mean that we won't be an Estonian entity, right? We will still have roots here. We will still have licenses here, et cetera. What about MAS? Singapore, yeah. So Singapore, look, for Asia, Singapore is not a bad choice. It isn't the only choice. You also have Hong Kong, you have Tokyo. If I was thinking about Asia as far as regulation goes, Tokyo wins. Japan wins the regulation front, hands down. On mainland, let's say mainland Asia, Singapore and Hong Kong is a good fight. I would say for security and stability wise, maybe Singapore would win against Hong Kong. But having said that, MAS is progressive. I haven't seen them make too much news on their progressiveness, though, as of late. So we'll have to watch. Singapore, though, is definitely an option. I don't know. Right now, we don't have a large Asia following. So unless that starts to happen through marketing in the next year, 2 years, 3 years, it probably wouldn't be a headquarters, but it may be a good place for expansion into Asia throughout the next year, 2 years, 3 years, because of MAS. So yeah. What about Stockholm? I would like the ability to stalk you. I would not like the ability for you to stalk me. So I will cross Stockholm off my short list. Thank you, Bjorn, for that. I would have no problem visiting, though, as long as you're not in town when I get there. I know. Speaking seriously, I don't know. Stockholm, I wouldn't think is probably the best place for a headquarters. Though, look, if we start getting a lot of clients in and around Stockholm, then it may make sense for an office. Are still people not dead from COVID in Stockholm? Yeah, there's still a serious question. When do you see the next IEO CSD offering going live? CSD offering, we have a Japanese real estate project. I think will probably be one of the first offerings. I'm also looking to put together a CoinMetro bond offering that will also act as a bit of a call option on XCM. Rather unique product, and we will probably do it. So I think the Japanese project will probably be the first, and it's probably going to be May or June, probably June. I would say June is more June, and CoinMetro as well, actually. No one cares about COVID in Sweden. Yep. Japan would be great. CM would consider. Yes, we would consider it. We would consider a Japan office. Again, it's not something we're going to do tomorrow, but it's a possibility. I've been in touch. I was in South Korea at the International Bar Association event late last year, and had some talks with some Japanese attorneys. And I would say that we have some contacts there already, if and when we decide to start the process. Mobile app updates for iOS, most definitely. Yes, need them, 100%. If there's one thing in our entire ecosystem that needs work today, yesterday, and the day before yesterday, beside the dashboard, it's the app, and it's getting it. And the structure is getting much, much, much nicer. Would CM be listed in Nasdaq in the long term? I could see what we want to see is Nasdaq lose touch with capital markets, where more decentralized, more tokenized forms of markets take over. So we will be with Ignium, and we will be with other companies like Ignium. I think Nasdaq, they will probably try to adapt, but I don't know if they will be able to. But definitely a listed company, yes. More language on the CM site once we have completely tackled the English side. So we're still working on that, but they will come. I don't know about you guys, but I'm starting to feel kind of bullish. Come to Dublin, even Coinbase is here. Yeah. Dublin's also not a bad place, even for regulation, though there aren't many. Though now there are more EMIs and things like that based there. Crypto regulation is a bit lagging, but they do have some acceptance. So yeah, Ireland is definitely another Western European option. So I would say you have Germany, you have Ireland, you have Netherlands, are pretty good options. Yes, Chinese is the most spoken language. That is true. But if our user base doesn't have a strong Chinese right now, then there's no reason for us to go down that road yet. But we will be going down that road. Marketing will probably show us more data than we currently have, and that's going to make us adjust what languages we start to support. I agree, Mohammed. 100 million, kajillion, bazillion, sextillion, googillion% on the mobile app. Thank you, Brian. Look, we're about 20 minutes over, so I guess we're going to call it a day. What's the other XCM product you mentioned? I didn't understand. XCM product? I don't know. I don't remember, to be honest. Oh, sorry. Tag me in Telegram and maybe I'll remember. If somebody else has some inkling on maybe what you're talking about in terms of product, or you can explain it a bit more, I'll answer it in Telegram. Got to run, guys. Got some other things I need to do. Love being here with you guys. Thanks for coming. Thanks for asking your questions. Lots of great questions this week. Some cool news stories. I think we did a good job this week. As I always say, equity token is coming. That is correct. XCM bond. Well, it's not an XCM bond. It's a CoinMetro bond and an XCM option call option. It's a unique product. You guys will hear about it in the coming weeks. So anyway, guys, thanks for being here. Spend some time with friends and family. Zoom them, Google Hangout them, Skype them. Do whatever you need to do to say hi to your 97-year-old grandma who lives by herself. Put a smile on her face, or at least half a smile. Maybe she hates you. Maybe you'll make her angry, but I don't know what you're going to do. But reach out to some people, hang out, try to get some fresh air if you can. If you're on lockdown, go on your roof and stare at the stars. And obviously, while you're up there, bring your tablet, steal your neighbor's internet, and buy some XCM. And have a great weekend, guys. See you guys next week. See you guys in Telegram. Tag me at Kevin Murcko. You can tag me on Twitter as well at Kevin Murcko, and I'll answer when I can. All right, guys. Cheers. Have a good one.